Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows comes the best of indie podcasts.
Welcome to the J Squared Horror Podcast, where two lifelong horror fans talk all things horror. Pour yourself your favorite drink and hang out. Here are your hosts, Josh and Jake.
Hey guys, welcome to the J Squared Horror Podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jake.
And on today's fan requested episode, what movie are we going to be discussing?
We are discussing 1980s The Fog, directed by John Carpenter. Also, Jace's birthday.
Today's John Carpenter's birthday.
Yeah, January 16th is his birthday. Yep.
It's also my sister's birthday, so happy birthday to all the January 16th birthdays out there. I know that when you guys are listening to this, it'll be a couple days later, but while we're recording it, it is John Carpenter and Jenny's birthday. So that's super exciting. Oh, well, thank you.
Look at that.
Thank you so much for cheering along. Ooh, hit it twice. Yes, this is I'm personally very excited to throw in another 80s John Carpenter classic horror movie requested by one of our very long-time fans, Miss Courtney. Thank you so much for requesting this episode idea for us. But before we get into this fan requested episode, what would we like to let anyone new to the J Squared Horror Podcast know?
As always, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Pretty, please.
You can also find us on Spotify.
We're on there.
We're on Apple.
We are.
And we're on Google.
As far as we know.
Also Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
J Squared Horror Podcast. Linktree in the bio. New episodes every Thursday.
Every Thursday, two lifelong horror fans decide to get together. We drink and we talk all things horror. Now, we humbly consider ourselves the most original horror podcast out there because we are not information-based at all. We are communication-based, meaning this podcast is what you do when you get together with friends after you watch a horror film. You talk, you argue, and you yell about all different aspects of this movie, whether it includes your life, whether it includes different movies. We like to include all of those different aspects into this podcast to make it what we consider the most original horror podcast out there. Now, like Miss Courtney did, if you are at all interested on becoming a part of the J Squared Horror Podcast, you can go to our updated website, www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com, and you can request to be on the episode or you can request an episode idea. Everything is super laid out for you guys on the website. You click a button, you send us an email, it comes right to my inbox. We talk about it, and we figure out what we want to cover when it comes up. Right now, we have 5 different ideas from a couple different fans that we're going through currently right now to decide next week's episode. So if you would like to request an episode idea, please check out the website and go there. Also, what I'd like to mention is we are a part of the Darkcast Network. The Darkcast Network is a podcasting network about independent, dark, strange podcasts. They included us a couple years ago, and they have some amazing content creators on there. So if you like supporting smaller, growing podcasts, which is us, they have some pretty big podcasts on their channel. Go check them out. We release episodes every Thursday, but if you're looking for podcasts to keep you going for all week long, go to the Darkcast Network, check them out, support them because they have been super amazing for us to grow in our podcasting world. Now, I feel like I did that pretty quickly this week.
That was pretty quick.
I knocked that right out of the park.
Yeah.
Let's not mess around. Let's get into The Fog. The Fog from 1980 by John Carpenter, who is the director of my personal favorite horror movie of all time, which is Halloween 1978, did this movie 2 years after my favorite, which is cool. Also, I just wanted to ask you real quickly, is he in the beginning of this movie as the priest's hand?
That is him, yeah.
That's him, right?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, that's the coolest looking dude. I'm like, wait, I think that's John Carpenter. He did a little cameo in his own movie. Is this the first one he did?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like, that looks like John Carpenter. And I was like, I got to ask my boy Jake.
Because at first you see like shadows and like quick flashes.
Yeah.
You're not really sure of it. You think that's probably him.
Yeah.
But then when you stand there, it's like, hey, I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, definitely John Carpenter. Well, they try and get that check.
Get paid. Now, this is crazy because it's John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and it's everybody that was a part of Halloween and Halloween 2.
Yeah, you got Tommy Lee Wallace.
Tommy Lee Wallace.
Part of it.
Yep.
Like you said, Deborah Hill.
Yep.
John Carpenter, obviously.
Yep.
And then some of the actors, too.
Yes, I know. We get
Jamie Lee
Nancy
Curtis.
Loomis.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Loomis.
But her name has changed. I realized that on IMDb last night.
What is it now?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but Nancy Loomis was in that time period.
Okay.
So if you look her up, she still pops up. But it also pops up the Scream Mom from part 2. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I was like, that doesn't look anything like this actress. Yeah. But yeah. Also, there's for anybody that knows John Carpenter in the Halloween movies, there's an actor that is in this movie that's also in Halloween 2, who is an ambulance driver, an EMT, that is also in this movie.
Is that him?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
with the curly hair.
The curly hair that's on the boat. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's cool because I was like, one of the talking points I wanted to ask you was, do you think John Carpenter just really liked all these actors and actresses? Because he also Halloween 3, we have what's his name, right?
Tom Atkins.
Yeah, he's the main character in this movie. I know John Carpenter's not a part of part 3, but he's in this whole realm of the 80s horror.
I think maybe, I think he's big on like continuity.
Yeah.
Because after he made, so this is between Halloween and The Thing.
Yeah.
2 years between, or 2 years after, 2 years before.
Yeah.
So after that, he used Kurt Russell in a couple movies after that. So I feel like once he has a connection with an actor, he probably just continues to work with them.
He looks at him like, okay, I think I can use you for this part later. Or like when he's sitting down thinking about his movies, like, ooh, I use this person in this movie.
That's just like Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele does it, all the time.
Thing.
Yeah,
like a guy who was he played the father.
Yeah,
in like the flashbacks in Us.
Yeah,
ended up being Candyman.
Yeah.
So he told him, I have a role for you.
Yeah.
Because he originally wanted to be the main character in Get Out.
Oh, okay.
He was like, nah, I got something for you, though.
It's super cool because you shared a little Conan O'Brien and Jordan Peele podcast clip where Jordan Peele, he's a humongous fan of John Carpenter. I think he respects John Carpenter the most out of like horror directors.
Yeah, that's probably his favorite.
Because I think it's his favorite. Based off of that 15-minute clip you sent me. And if you guys want to check it out, you can go to YouTube, type in Conan O'Brien with Jordan Peele. It'll pop up. It's only 15 minutes long. But it's super fun and informative. Especially having Jordan Peele, the modern, horror director that's pushing the envelope in ways that not a lot of people are, creating original content. But his love and his respect for John Carpenter, who some people look back on his movies and like, oh, they're corny or, oh, they don't hold the test of time. I fully disagree with that. We listened to a podcast recently where somebody was bashing a certain movie franchise that I completely disagree with when they were bashing Friday the 13th Part 1.
Yeah.
I feel like if you go into these 80s movies with, the John Carpenters, the Sean S. Cunninghams, and even Wes Craven, and you go into it expecting what people are doing today, you're gonna be disappointed. But also,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah. What they had to work with, what they were going against, what other kind of movies existed in that time period. You can pull up 60s movies and look at the actors and the actresses, even outside of horror, and they're over dramatic. They oversell certain points.
Yeah.
The makeup department might not look as good, or the practical effects might not quite tickle your fancy. What you fans have to realize, and we do too. We do this enough times throughout the podcast where we'll bash certain movies. What you need to realize is what they were doing, why they were doing it, when they were doing it. And the thing that makes guys like John Carpenter so special is they do it in a sense of that's the only version of that exists. And of course, there's like taken parts of different ones, like we mentioned with Black Christmas and Halloween 1978, where you're like, did he copy? Did he not? Who cares? You're using what exists out there to make something that you feel is going to make a difference in the horror community. And I respect that. And I think it's super cool because I have never seen The Fog from 1980 until last night, and it's 2024.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you go into this movie with the proper mindset, you're going to enjoy the fuck out of it. And if any of our fans want to go check this out, I rented it for like under $4 on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Did you do as well?
Same
So
thing,
easiest way to watch The Fog if you don't own it already, go rent it on Amazon Prime. It's $4. $4 is less than half a tank of gas, it seems like these days. But go check it out. It's worth a watch. Some of the practical stuff is kind of corny, but other than that, the movie in its entirety is, it's John Carpenter, but it's not quite like every other John Carpenter film out there, even though he reuses some actors and actresses. What you mentioned to me when we had actually figured out that we were going to cover this. This is one of your personal favorite. I know we all know, and if you guys don't know, what's your favorite John Carpenter film of all time?
The Thing.
Okay, so The Thing, have we covered it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We covered it. Yeah.
We covered it.
Yeah.
Dude, we're 100 plus episodes and
Yeah.
I forget every once in a while.
We did cover The Thing.
Just real quickly, remind them of why you like The Thing, and then if you don't mind, just go into just briefly why you enjoy The Fog so much.
I love The Thing because it builds that suspension.
Yes.
Of the whole not knowing who's who type of thing. I love the acting in it. I love when it's one location.
Yes.
Which is kind of similar in certain aspects of this movie.
Yeah.
Because you have just the town they're in.
Just the town.
And the radio station.
It's a big part of it.
Lighthouse thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if I had to rank, like, my top 3 John Carpenter movies.
Okay.
I think the first one I ever saw was The Fog.
Okay. The first one you ever remember watching of John Carpenter
was The Fog.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So I had seen Halloween prior to, but didn't know it was John. I knew it was Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So once I saw The Fog, I thought, okay, John Carpenter. I watched Christine.
Okay.
After that.
Yeah.
And The Thing. Fell in love with that. But top 3 would probably be The Thing, obviously.
Yeah.
2 would be Halloween.
Okay.
3 is The Fog.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this is a very well-directed movie. It looks really well.
Yes, it
really
does.
Good.
Yeah.
And I think that's also like an early John Carpenter thing with Halloween, with The Fog, with The Thing.
Yeah.
Has a certain look to it.
Yeah.
It can sell isolation so well.
So well.
You know?
But what's crazy, and just as me looking at it from an outside perspective of like John Carpenter fandom, is like I feel like you can look at each piece individually, but that isolation point is a huge point because Halloween's in a town. The Thing is in Antarctica.
Yeah.
And then you have this, which is in a town, but it's not like Illinois. It's not like a suburb. It's like a bay. Yeah. I don't think it's an island because I was going to ask you, it's easily accessible?
It appears that I know it's called like Antonio's Bay.
Yeah. Which bay, because, we live in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. We have the Chesapeake Bay. But I feel like it's not like it's an island. It's not like,
I feel like it's a part of a city you can drive to get to Antonio Bay.
Yeah.
I feel like they're probably big on like during the season visitors and kind of like Virginia Beach.
Kind of makes you think of Jaws too.
Yeah.
Where Amityville in New York in that movie. Yeah. The thing that this movie does very well, and it's like a lot of John Carpenter films, in my opinion, is light play. The light play that he's able to pull off.
Yeah.
Where it's like the characters that you're watching are mainly in focus. Like obviously with a podcast, we have a bright ass light shining on our faces at all times. So that way you can see our beautiful faces and you can see our reactions to what each other say. In this movie, it reminded me a lot of more Halloween than The Thing, because I feel like The Thing was a lot darker in the sense that it was like complete isolation in Antarctica, which is fine. Like that's what that movie was supposed to be like. But in this movie, when you're in a town or when you're in an area where like in somebody's house or something, the main character is always in the focal light, but everything else behind that character for the intense scenes is very dark. And it's all forward lighting and then dark recess lighting, which creates the shadow play, which made Michael Myers so terrifying for 30, 40, 50 years, depending on who you are. John Carpenter does it probably better than most because he did it in 78, 80, 82. Like, it's insane, man.
So I think about when... So you're into the movie a little bit. You know the premise of the ship that crash or whatever.
Which they do a good job of doing the little like campfire story and just like getting it out of the way at the beginning.
It tells you this is the premise. We're close to midnight.
Yeah. April 21st or whatever. Yeah, April 21st.
So
which bummed me out because I was like, if I would have known that, I would have waited for like April 21st and we would have just released this episode at midnight. Because I mean, we release our episodes every midnight, but how cool would it be if like somehow an April 21st lined up on a Thursday and we could release this?
At
but
midnight,
hey, it was a fan request. It's one of your favorite Carpenter films, so we're going to go ahead and get it out of the way.
But once you get to the guys who are on the boat, and once they see the fog, I like that it doesn't 100% ever show you what's coming out of the fog.
No, it doesn't.
So it goes into the light play you're talking about.
Yeah.
All you see is outlines.
Yeah.
And you see the weapons they have. And so it lets your mind, like you think, well, they look like they could be pirates.
Yeah, immediately you're thinking like ghost pirate movie.
But if only 100 years ago, they probably weren't pirates.
They're just colonial people, really. Which that was the weaponry they had back then, more swords than guns.
Like the pirate look and the hooks and just, but you never, it leaves.
Boat people.
it leaves enough for the imagination. And that's where it fucks with you.
Yeah.
So like with Michael Myers, it's a lot of shadow play. Like you see him eventually, obviously.
Yeah.
But in your mind, that goes into the whole being like the shape thing,
The shape, exactly.
It allows your mind to put an image out there versus what's really in front of you. So this movie does a good job of never actually showing you.
Yeah.
It's always just shadow play. And
John Carpenter's finest.
Yeah. So the scene where they're on the boat, and they kill the first two.
Yeah.
And the last guy's in there.
Which is the ambulance EMT driver from Halloween 2.
And the light flashes.
Yeah,
so you see someone open the door. And you see the outline of them there. Then it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Then it comes back and he's still there. And it goes when he's closer, but you can't tell because it's dark in there. That was such a great lead into what's about to happen once they get to everybody else.
Yeah, it's like, because that basically the fog is going to come inland, but only during nighttime hours, it seems like. It can't do it during the day.
Nah.
Because it was almost like after that first the boat scene happens, it's like all right, let's pause for a second. But the thing that I liked about it is even though it's mysterious and you're questioning it, he still doesn't veer away from bringing in an old colonial pirate ship that the first two kills see, and they're just so baffled and dumbstruck that it's a ghost ship. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Which we all know that there are other movies like it. I think there's one called Ghost Ship.
There is,
but this was from 1980, and I feel like I don't know how they pulled this off. I'm still spinning in my head on how they pulled that cinematography part off. Was it green screen? Was it
it's more
boat passing?
It's there, then it's gone.
Yeah, but it's they see it and they're like, what the fuck? That's way too close. Nothing ever pinged off of our radar systems, because in the 80s they still had modern technology. For then, that things are around.
It was able to pick up the fog.
Yeah, it was able to pick up the fog, but not the ship.
In the fog.
Yeah, which makes it the mysterious, ghostly,
the
ghost ship, if you will, of this movie. And it was cool because you see that and you're like, oh damn! If you go back to the campfire story, this boat crashed, and this is maybe the evil that resided on the boat being April 21st at midnight. But what I liked about it is the guys on the boats were so confused that what I liked about that particular part was that was the distraction from what was on the boat, which are the people. And I'm like, what? You're thinking is it going to crash into them and sink the boat, right? Big ship, smaller boat, fishing vessel versus a ship. Crash, sink, right? That's your immediate thought process. Is,
like you said, it just throws them off.
It throws them off enough to then get killed by the shadow play of this movie.
And what I like when they first stand there, they literally say, "Who is that?"
Yeah, who is that?
They're just standing there.
Yeah,
and we're just going to stand here.
It creates that tension. That tension.
Are you going to move?
Which you mentioned.
Am I going to move?
The thing.
Yeah.
And it's you're seeing all these great aspects of John Carpenter and his directorialness.
Yeah.
Just portrayed in a movie that you might not have expected.
In my mind, I see it building up to the thing.
Yeah.
You see
You do.
Halloween, you see the fog, then boom.
Because the thing's 82?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're 2-year intervals. He's picking up on what he's doing.
Just cranking out fucking classics. And I saw somewhere that he had an idea of kind of making the thing also an anthology.
Oh.
Where different monsters come out of the fog.
Oh, like different types of monsters?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which I thought would been pretty interesting.
That would be.
I think it would be interesting, but at the same time, probably not. It's
Yeah.
not done very well. But the idea is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that John Carpenter's reuse of certain characters is because he likes the way they die or he likes the way they are on screen?
I would say likes the way they are on the screen.
Yeah.
So Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins.
Tom Atkins. But what else did he do with Tom Atkins?
He did.
Because Halloween 3 is somebody else.
Well, yes, it's directed by someone, but I think it's always still based on John Carpenter.
Yeah.
They're real characters.
Yeah. The other thing that I was going to mention is how old do we think Tom Atkins is in this movie?
At least 45.
Okay. Jamie Lee Curtis was 18, shooting Halloween, which was 2 years prior, right?
Yeah.
Now, they do make her look a little more adult
They do, yeah.
in this movie. I think she looks way better in this movie than most of hers.
It's the haircut.
It's the haircut. I love the way Jamie Lee Curtis looks in this movie.
Yeah, I do too.
She's a hitchhiker that gets picked up by Tom Atkins' character, and they have their own little thing. But it's
So, two things about that. One, I love how he catches her in a lie immediately.
out the jump.
Yeah.
My man knows how to pick apart a conversation.
Yeah. As soon as she got in the car, it's her first time hitchhiking.
Yeah.
Okay. Start a little conversation. She said something. I thought you said it was your first time hitchhiking.
Because you just mentioned another instance.
Like, oh, shit. You got me.
You got me.
Then he got late, like right afterwards.
Tom Atkins, I can guarantee you this. If he's in a movie, man's getting laid.
He's also going to drink.
He's going to drink and he's going to get laid.
Yeah, he's driving, took a sip. You want a sip? Aren't you driving, dude?
Chill, it's the 80s.
You're drinking and driving. And there's another scene in the movie, too, and they're at the bar.
Yeah.
And then he said he's going somewhere, asked if she wants to come. And she puts the beer down. And you see him like, hey. And she takes it with him. I was like, dude.
Tom's
going to drink. He's going to fuck.
Tom's going to drink and he's going to fuck and he's going to be the heroine of these movies. I love it, though, man, because it's like, it's portraying these characters in like different scenarios. But the thing is, we mentioned this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about how our brains, being that we're dumb, like making these parallel universes of wait, check this out. You're gonna love this. Okay. So you like making these parallel universes of characters that are reused throughout horror, and we used a couple that were in Scream, and then maybe Nightmare on Elm Street, and what was it? Black Christmas. What was the one we were talking about where they had similar? I think it was Black Christmas. Yeah, because the cop
we used that to use Scream and Nightmare.
Yes, So we led from Black Christmas to Nightmare on Elm Street to Scream.
Yeah.
And this one, you can lead from Halloween to The Thing to Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Because you have Laurie Strode's character, which is Jamie Lee Curtis. You have Jamie Lee Curtis's character, who is a hitchhiker.
Getting the fuck out of Haddonfield.
Trying to get the hell away from wherever she was.
Yeah.
So imagine that Jamie Lee Curtis survived the craziness of part 2. Or no, just part 1, I guess. Because that was it.
Yeah.
And she's just hitchhiking her way away from Haddonfield. Gets picked up by Tom Atkins' character, who then goes through this crazy ordeal, tries to murk the hell out of there, and then gets fancied up with the Shamrock boys over there in Halloween 3, dude. It's crazy. Because it's not that far-fetched, but it's a really interesting point.
True, because he seemed like the exact same
character. Exact same character. And she's not that far off either.
True, and it's always, in both movies, is him getting involved in something
that he should not be a part of.
Nothing to do with him.
Nothing to do with him. It's so crazy because,
he's just
like,
around,
intentionally or unintentionally, we're 40 years later, 45 years later, where it's like, I can make these parallel universes and make it like this crazy and not even anthology series, just a straight series of events that lead up to craziness.
It's like those like theories where like the Pixar theory.
How they're all like somehow connected.
Yeah, every movie's like in the same universe and they're all connected somehow. If there is a way to connect for a short period of time, these few John Carpenter movies and franchises.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the fact that there are people out there with podcasting platforms that can probably do episodes on Marvel, on Pixar, on this. I feel like we are the only two dudes I've ever seen that are making these parallels between horror movies and horror characters, where it's like it makes sense if you've watched them. Like the thing is if you watch them too far apart, you're not going to pick up on it per se, because like, oh, that was just a popular actor or actress in 1980. Yeah. That's boring. That doesn't make your brain.
Because then I think about it too. Sheriff Brackett's
in this movie.
In the movie too, yeah.
Yeah. So he just decided to get the hell out of Haddonfield. He's going to be a weatherman. Yeah. And he gets killed by some fog monsters.
Yeah. And if we're going down that rabbit hole, the one character he doesn't ever interact with is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis' character. He never actually sees Lori.
It's all the same movie.
Be kind of crazy that they both ended up in the same town, but it must be driving away from Haddonfield.
Yeah, we're on the way.
We're out of there.
Yeah,
it's a beach town. It's small. Yeah, kind of gives you the same vibes.
Yeah, plus there's palm trees out in Haddonfield. So
shut
up. She did say she came from San Diego.
She's lying. We already know she's a liar.
She saw the palm tree. Yeah, it gotta be California.
Gotta be Cali. Do you feel like there is, because also the other reuse of characters, Nancy Loomis, who we mentioned at the beginning of this movie, who was Nancy in Halloween.
The reason why I didn't mention her because she died in Halloween.
She died in Halloween. I'm not saying like continuation of characters. Yeah. Now I'm just purely talking about reuse of characters. Yeah. And she looked identical to how she looked. Yeah. Same hairstyle, same everything. But she was a fun character. She was like the liaison of the I don't know, was she a mayor? What was that lady?
Who was Jamie Lee Curtis' mom.
Holy shit. Was it really? From Psycho?
Yeah.
I did not put that together.
Because they're also together in Halloween H2O.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I didn't connect those dots at all.
Yeah, because I watched H2O during Halloween, obviously.
Yeah, when we had to cover all the damn movies.
So the scene where they're together in that movie, she's driving the same car that she was driving in Psycho.
Oh, no way.
And when she's walking back to the car, they play the Psycho music.
Oh, how did I not pick up on that?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Was that the same station wagon from Halloween, you think? That Nancy was driving?
I think it's pretty good, though. She got to work with her mom, and because of her mom being a horror icon.
Yeah.
And also being a horror icon.
She's a scream queen.
Hey, man.
That's about as good as it gets.
It is.
And the fact that, like, the directors or whoever decided to use them in these movies knew that, and they knew that it could work in the benefit of the movie. Yeah. Do you feel like the thing that I was asking about the Nancy character is who is the most like redeemable or likable character? Because that's a big thing that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks.
So to me, it's the priest.
No, I disagree.
Yeah.
No, I disagree.
He didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong. And I agree with that.
And when he found out that, in essence, because the movie kind of talks about paying for other people's mistakes.
That's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once he catches on to that.
Yeah.
Once he found.
Oh, true.
He finds out 5 people already died. He says, I'm the 6th.
I'm the 6th and I'm Malone.
Yeah.
I am the problem.
Exactly. So he found out that was it.
Yeah.
As soon as the fucking book fell off the wall, he figured out, okay, this is my grandfather.
He read it. He understood it. Yeah.
Is through my family line. I need to fix it, make it right. And he does that.
He does.
So I feel like.
Oh, yeah. He has quite the character arc in this movie. Yeah.
Well, he didn't start as a bad guy at all.
He's just an alcoholic priest.
Yeah. But
who talked to John Carpenter and didn't want to pay him.
Yeah. You want to get paid? Instead of coming at 4, come at 6.
That was pretty funny.
I was like, damn, dude.
That was pretty funny, though. Can I actually get paid for what I just did? No, but I'll tell you what. Take 2 hours later.
Yeah, that'll fucking teach you.
It's the 80s.
You ask me again, take day off. You're good.
You know, fuck it. Take a whole day. I owe you for a couple weeks. I'll give you a day. This is the 80s. This works.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
There's no computer tracking of our hours right now.
This is my
It's
word
what you
against
say
yours.
versus you.
And I'm a priest.
My
all right?
word versus yours, yes. I thought the radio host, that was the one that I had picked out during the movie of like who I like vibed with the most. I guess because the priest kind of for a good third of the movie isn't in there anymore, so maybe that's my fault for just like
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they do it well. They don't do it a disservice of who his character is, but until he's needed again, he's not in it. But she kind of got thrown into this whole thing by just her son finding the piece of wood from the boat, and then her just being like, I got to go to work. Yeah. Like, I'm going to take this, and then the crazy stuff that happens. And the thing that I liked about her so much is that she was trying to protect as many people as possible.
Yeah.
While also, she's one of the characters where it's like the only thing that matters is her kid.
Yeah.
Regardless of everybody else in that town, she's screaming on the radio for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Of just like, please, somebody go check on my kid.
Yeah.
Because I see the fog. It's coming in.
Yeah.
Here's the address. I just felt like it was something different as far as like, if you will, a Final Girl type character.
Yeah.
Of just like, she's kind of out of it for the majority of the movie.
Sure.
But is putting the pieces together of the craziness that's happening. And I feel like that's it's something completely new and never redone. Like, I feel like her character is like a standalone style of horror character.
Yeah.
Where it's like in Bad Candy, those guys get thrown into it at the end by just like kind of knowing what was going on with the story, because it's like radio jock DJ versus radio jock DJ. I don't have many to go off of.
I just thought about something else.
What?
As far as people being the same person in different universes. Adrian Barbeau, who played the character of the radio DJ, played a radio DJ in All Hallows Eve.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Which is where Art the Clown gets introduced. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dude, did you is this just your noggin firing all cylinders tonight?
I fully enjoy this movie.
No, I enjoy this movie too, but I'm saying, like, how did you connect that? Just off the top? Did you look at anything? Did you research anything?
Just the top. Well, I've seen obviously All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, but I don't remember a radio DJ.
I knew that was her in that movie because in between each, I guess it's anthology.
It's an anthology type movie.
In between every story is her talking as someone's like driving somewhere, or the babysitter is doing something in between doing shit. Is her talking on the radio.
Did Damien Leone do that? No, he didn't. No. So whoever did All Hallows Eve
is aware of her
homage
playing,
to the fog.
Yeah,
that's huge.
I'm sure they chose her to play that role.
They had to have. Yeah, based off of that.
If not, why would you randomly choose her?
Very true. Very true. But I honestly feel like, though, that like this style of character is the first time that I've seen it. Of just like out of the fight until the fight comes to you. Yeah. But still trying to protect as many people as possible. Yeah. I just thought it was super interesting.
Tried to help the weather guy.
She tried.
Tried to help, I guess, whoever was babysitting her son.
She tried.
And her son, well, if the priest hadn't, given up the golden cross. Yeah. She would have got killed right on top of the lighthouse.
Yeah. So it's crazy because the thing that I liked about this movie is like the main heroines or like the main heroes of this movie do not have to commingle. Yeah. That's crazy. Like Tom Atkins' character. Yeah. It's Jamie Lee Curtis's character. Almost. Like three. So you have the priestess thing going on. Yeah. You have the radio DJ's thing going on. Yeah. And then I guess two. Yeah, you're right. Why was I thinking three? Nancy's character and the mayor lady.
Well, see, at first it is three. Yeah, but it cuts down to two because they beat up
all
where the priest is.
There. Yeah. But still, they all the characters don't have to meet in this crazy like crescendo of an epic. Here's how we're gonna survive this. Yeah. They're almost just all kind of clicking on the same page, just based on what's happening, and that never fucking happens in horror films.
Yeah,
you always have to have this stupid fucking monologue of like one person, whether it would be Tom Atkins' character where he like stands up in front of the whole group and goes, here's what's happening, here's how we have to survive.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie, and I haven't like looked up any type of like podcast or like review type channels on like this movie. I don't know if any exists, but I feel like this movie is a standalone horror film.
Yeah.
Because of what it does, how it does it, and the end outcome. Because you're not, you may kind of guess it, but it's not done in a sense to where it's like you can guess it immediately because of how they portrayed the final ending.
I agree. Because if you'd never seen it before, you would think the DJ
Yeah.
is probably going to die.
Yeah.
Because once she gets that first stab,
Yeah.
and
I thought she
hits
got
the top.
like right in the neck.
That's what it
It was
looks
like
like.
in the shoulder, I guess.
It looked like he nails her.
I
in the
thought
neck.
she got straight. Like, I was like, okay, she sacrificed herself for the greater good of the town. Maybe it was just a bad angle of the stuntman swinging a weapon, but she slides down and it's more like collarbone, shoulder area. Yeah.
So with her being the single mom and from what can be seen, her putting her career first kind of thing, she does have the best character arc. I'll agree with you there.
Yeah.
But as soon as she's like a redeemable person,
Yeah.
I guess I choose the priest. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But what's crazy is you have, for once in a long time, both.
True. You
have a male and a female.
Yeah, two of them.
Both doing their thing who never commingle in this entire
Not one
movie.
time. Never
And that
interact.
I honestly, you put a gun to my head right now. You asked me to ask another horror movie that's happened in.
Yeah.
I can't. Because like I said, there's always this hoorah moment of the Tom Atkins character who is like the muscle of the group. And usually they'll get killed because they have the plan.
Yeah.
Kind of like in Demons, how the guy that we liked, the black guy that we liked, who actually was right the entire time, had to die to prove his theory was right the whole time. And it's the parallels you can make in horror. If we're consuming horror at an alarming rate, the two of us. You know, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
We're consuming different decades of horror. Like, it's cool that we don't decide to go like all 80s one month and then like all 2023s one month.
Yeah.
Because what we're able to do for our fans is to create these crazy parallels between new, old, middle old, and just be like, guys, like there are some crazy things that you may never see, you haven't seen, or you constantly see.
I think what makes it so good is that John Carpenter is such it's so
focal
good
point
at storytelling.
Dude, why hasn't he written books?
You know?
Like he's this, don't take this wrong, but he's the Stephen King of cinema.
Just the fact that he can, in every movie, with three I named, he tells you right up front what it is.
What's happening?
So we're going from there, and along the way, we're going to fill you in, piece it together.
Yes.
It's like pretty much, I'm going to tell you the beginning and the ending right up front.
Right now.
And we're going to fill it in
But
between.
here's how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And that is the magic of John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and what the fuck they were doing in the 1980s.
Because knowing this movie, you know from the jump, it's the 100th anniversary, ship crash, they're coming back.
Yes. And they want 6 bodies.
Boom. So you know
it.
they're coming back and they're getting 6 bodies.
When the driftwood lights on fire, and I know we didn't mention this.
it says
6
must die.
6 must die.
Yeah.
So you know in your head, we have 3 currently.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the next 3? And what's crazy is in the movie, they're actually like keeping count of who got.
Yeah.
And that's like he said when the priest is like, Malone is like, I have to be the last one. And you're like, holy fucking shit. That's the only way this can end.
Yeah.
But then the curveball that Carpenter does is you feel like we beat it.
Yeah.
We beat it. We gave them the gold, and that outweighs the 6th body.
I need that 6.
But it's crazy because that's what you think. You think it's going to find, like, There's finally going to be a horror film from the 80s that has that feel-good fucking ending that maybe they needed. You know, who knows? I don't know. Halloween definitely doesn't fucking give it to you.
We're good.
Yeah,
Kill 'em.
you know, Halloween doesn't give it to you because he gets shot 6 fucking times and vanishes. Right? The Thing definitely doesn't fucking give it to you, which is later because there's so much dialogue and arguments about who could potentially have been the monster at the end or not, right? So the thing that this movie did, and it's like the perfect middle ground for both of those movies, you were there, and you go, this is what your guys are going to do if you watched it, and if you get to this point, hopefully you've watched it, but you're going to go, whew, that's kind of nice. Yeah. Like, all right, some people died, cool. Yeah. Some people that shouldn't have died, sad.
Happens.
But they kind of got the one-up on the ghosts from the fog. Yeah. Right? We gave him the gold. We had a little shaky shake, but then Tom Atkins comes in and saves the day by pulling him off of it. They all vanish into thin fucking fog, if you will. And you're like, okay, the town's saved. Tom Atkins is the hero. Jamie Lee Curtis has had some epic Scream Queen moments throughout this entire film. Also, when she finds the first original dead body, the shriek that she lets out sends a shiver down your spine. But what's crazy about that scene is they immediately cut it.
Oh, speaking of that, one scene that has never made sense to me.
Oh, what?
Is when they're, I guess, in the hospital, and that body they found earlier gets up and starts like walking towards her.
The only instance where that happens.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and leave that there. You know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like all the other bodies, other than the caretaker, we're out to sea. So we don't know what they could potentially do. Everybody else has been taken into the fog. He's the only one, and he left what behind? What did he leave behind? Maybe he was strictly to leave a message. He carved the number 3 into the floor.
Hey, man. Let you guys know we're halfway there.
He was letting everybody know what they were needing.
We got 3 more.
And now that was never mentioned, of course.
No,
just as a fan of the movie. And I think maybe that's why John Carpenter did it, just as like a, hey, guys, don't forget.
They need 6. They have 3.
Don't forget, we already covered this, but just in case.
We're here.
He carved the number 3 into the ground. Because he wasn't like malicious. He got up, fell, and carved the number 3 into the ground.
Yeah.
So, but that, honestly, I don't feel like Tom Atkins' character would have been as on board of like the craziness that's going on if that part didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was the moment that Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins' characters needed to continue this mission, if you will, of trying to protect the town.
Been on her way.
She would have went right back to Haddonfield because Michael Myers is easier than some demon ghosts.
True.
Of a boat.
Very true.
It's multiple of those and only one of Mike. All right. So
let me ask you this.
What's up, bub?
How did you feel about the ending of, even though the priest gave them the gold they wanted, they still came back and killed him to get that final number 6?
I feel like because of everything that I was just painting of like how you felt I was a first time viewer of this movie. Yeah. So I feel like for our fans, this will be I hopefully you guys will agree with me for once in my entire podcasting career here. I feel like what we had all done is let out a communicative sigh of just like, holy shit, that was intense. They found the loophole of the gold, which the priest did.
Yeah.
He was saved by Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was not going to let that thing go.
He wasn't. But because he knew what needed to happen. But because I feel like he was saved by somebody else, maybe that was the loophole that needed to happen. Who knows? You know, because like it was like a pure act of kindness versus somebody so evil that, you know, his grandfather or great grandfather, whatever he was like, this is a boat of lepers. This is like, I can't believe we must send them to the depths of hell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a man of God, but I'm going to murder because I feel like it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
Kind of pulls in the Hot Fuzz kind of vibe of just like, what are you willing to do to keep your town as pure as you want it to be?
Yeah.
And that's a parallel I just fucking made. So that was cool.
That was good though.
Yeah. But I feel like any fan watching this movie for the first time, and I'm so happy I got to do this for this episode and have such a raw and honest opinion on this movie, is you're collectively just, you're sitting back in your seat, you're eating that popcorn again, you're breathing.
Yeah.
You're like, I got through a John Carpenter movie and I didn't piss my pants, right? You're feeling proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nope, hold my beer real quick. Like, hold on a second.
You see him come outside.
Yep.
Go back in.
Yep.
Turn the corner.
And then just the amazing fogs coming through the bottom of the door.
Like, damn.
And you're like, oh, shit, it's not over until they get the sixth body.
They got to get one more.
And it had to be him. That makes his character arc complete.
I agree.
Because even though he found what we thought was a loophole, it wasn't. Tom Atkins can lay on his head on his pillow at night knowing that he tried to save him. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they needed 6 bodies and their gold in order to leave this town alone.
Yeah. And
I feel like it's the perfect ending to this movie.
I agree.
Because maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed this movie as much. You know, with everybody that knows me knows how much the end of a movie weighs on my rating of a movie. Would I have been as okay if this was like a purely happy ending? Yeah. And I can tell you right now, no.
Yeah.
Because I do not like happy endings in horror. I don't.
Okay.
I like something to happen that still makes the viewer feel uneasy. I feel like that's needed to push the envelope, and especially in 1980, where, like I said, Michael Myers vanishes. This movie, the priest actually dies. The Thing, we don't know who is who. Yeah. Who's the thing and who's a human. We'll never know the truth to that statement. But John Carpenter is a goat and can never not be considered a goat because of what he did in this time period, in this era of horror, unlike anyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take shots at Cunningham, not trying to take shots at Craven, not trying to take shots at whoever did other slasher movies that have continued on for generations of fans. Guys, put some respect on John Carpenter, and there's a reason that our current greatest horror director that is putting out content right now is his number one fan. Yeah. And I'm so happy you shared that fucking clip with me before this video.
Yeah.
Because it really shows that, like, there should be an appreciation. And, like, I'm, like, thinking to myself, like, John Carpenter? Like, yeah, I know Halloween's great. The Thing's great. That's only 2.
Yeah.
Dude, I had never seen, heard of, thought of The Fog.
Yeah.
And it's a damn fine piece of cinema.
Yeah.
So, to Courtney, to Jake, to our fans, The Fog is an amazing movie. Is there anything that we're missing from this movie? Anything that you, as a, I'm going to consider you a lifelong Fog fan? What else can we let the fans know about this movie? Do we hit all the nails? I mean, what are you thinking, man?
I mean, everything I can think of. Yeah, I feel like we hit.
We hit it.
It's just one of those.
It's a damn fine film.
To where, I mean, prior to watching it yesterday, I watched it like a few months ago.
Oh wow, okay.
This is a movie I watch just to watch it.
Every so often. Yeah.
So there's a remake, I think in 05 or 06.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of that one.
Also, just want to say, John Carpenter movies.
Yeah.
Of the ones that I said were his best, were the ones that have been remade.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All 3 of which we're talking about today, the most part, have all been remade and not been as good as the originals.
And I know The Thing wasn't popular when it came out. I'm not sure. I think this movie had a budget of like $1 million, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think it did like 21.
Oh, that's a success in my book.
It is. As long as more than one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technically is a success. So I feel like, I don't know, we need to just cherish John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, you know what I think? I'm going to add some John Carpenter stuff to our collection in the office here.
Yeah.
Maybe like a nice portrait of him or something. Yeah. We could have met him, but we didn't go to Texas, and I'm still kicking myself over that.
He may come to THC, you know?
Yeah, if Tidewater can get John Carpenter, I will be there. I'll be there regardless.
What will be the fucking chances of that?
That would be insane.
We can sit at the bar and drink with John Carpenter. You know he drinks.
Yeah, dude.
There's no way he doesn't.
But also, I couldn't order a vodka Sprite around John Carpenter. I'd wait for him to order and be like, what do you got?
What if he's like, vodka Sprite?
I'm going to make out with him at the bar, dude. Are you kidding me? John Carpenter seems to this day as one of the coolest motherfuckers that have existed in horror. I like, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I don't want you fans to take this the wrong way. But I like that Jordan Peele has moved up significantly over the last couple of years in my horror director fandom. And I think if we ever did another horror director episode, I think I mentioned him when we did it. I think he's one of my top 3.
Who? Carpenter?
No, Peele.
He was number 1.
He was my number 1.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, see, that guy still exists today. But it's only because I didn't get to live through the releases of John Carpenter. I didn't get to witness the amazingness in the 80s. And that's unfortunate for me because I'm only 32 years old. I'll take that. You guys can disagree with me. You can disagree with me all day long. But what I have gotten to do is gone and seen Jordan Peele's movies in theater and gotten to witness the creativity, the pushing of the envelope, the bringing in certain dynamics and aspects of cultural problems that are happening.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to watch, and knowing that he bows to John Carpenter means I'm wrong. It means that I'm wrong.
It doesn't mean you're wrong.
But it means that
it's just your personal preference.
Well, yeah, my personal preference is that, but it means that, like, if I knew that going into it, John Carpenter should have been my number 1.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a number 1 that respects your number 2.
Which is true. I know for
that doesn't make sense.
For me, top 3, I didn't have Jordan Peele at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like I've appreciated Jordan Peele more than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you haven't seen Nope yet, which is fine.
Well,
it was a fine piece of cinema.
Get Out, love that movie.
Us
Also love that movie.
You guys didn't, but we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys want to go back and watch it.
Go back and check it out. We're only at like 20 views.
Speaking of watching movies, Hell House.
Yeah.
Carmichael Manor, we're like 30 away from 1,000.
30?
Oh, rough, yeah.
Hey, anybody that's checking this out, if you haven't gone back yet, go check out Carmichael Manor and go check out our director's episode. And also, if you want to, us.
The Fly.
The Fly is great too. But for today's purposes, let's just those couple.
Yeah.
Our director episode is actually a missed gem, okay? Because as we just discussed here tonight, I feel like his number 1 was John. My number 1 was Jordan. And it's crazy to know that ultimately you were right because my guy heeds to your guy. But the reasons that I feel that way are because I've gotten to witness for the first time his movies. And I just appreciate that so much. It sucks only being 32 years old in a genre of movies that really fucking peaked in the 80s.
I mean, you never know because it's easy to say now that we would have enjoyed
would we have enjoyed them?
But we could have been in that crowd like, dang, what the fuck is this?
I don't think so, dude.
You never know that.
But if we were these same people, I do not agree with that.
If we were in our 30s.
Back then.
Yeah. I mean, we've been born in the 50s.
Yeah, so we're doo-wopping. We're drinking milkshakes with our ladies. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. I don't know, man. Maybe you're right. But
who knows? The important thing is we appreciate them and love them now.
You should have, like... I feel like there needs to be more of an appreciation for not just what we get, but when we got it and why we got it. And I feel like John Carpenter did that better than anybody. Jordan Peele is currently doing it, which is cool. But there's a pushing of the envelope that has to happen in horror. And George A. Romero was my number 1 guy for a lot of years.
Yeah. Because
of zombie movies, because of the cultural differences in zombie movies. And I was cool with that. But as I've matured over the years and as I've watched and consumed an unholy amount of horror movies, it's easy to now currently sit back and go, oh, wow. Like, these guys have been doing something crazy. And what sucks, and I meant to mention this a couple minutes ago, but John Carpenter just did a new TV series on Peacock called Suburban Murders, I do believe.
Is that good?
No, it's not good at all. And I only got through half of the first episode.
Sorry, John.
But maybe it's because I'm not as into true crime as like this.
True crime?
It leans more true crimey than what I was expecting. John Carpenter's name's on it, so I wanted to check it out. I think that you should just check out the first episode. I'll rewatch the first episode, and then we can convene outside of this.
Yeah.
But it sucks because I would like for John to put out just one more original, not Halloween, not The Thing, not Fog, not Christine, not it just something completely off the top of his head. I know Deborah Hill's been passed away now for a few years, so maybe he's out of respect. He just decides that it's better for him to just be kind of like a co-producer kind of guy, which if that's the case, John, I tip my fucking hat to you, bud.
Yeah. So, but
because you have to stick with your guys.
You want one more John?
I would love one more
John Carpenter or something.
Full original.
Okay.
It could even be a book, dude. If he just sat down and wrote a story.
He's making music all the time.
And that's another thing I wanted to mention. I know this episode's run on very long, but tell me this soundtrack doesn't give you goosebumps and fucking what's the Twilight Zone?
It does.
Goosebumps, Twilight Zone, dude. I need you to find me The Fog on vinyl.
Okay.
Fans, if you guys see it, let me know. Send it to me in my inbox. I'm on all sorts of social media. But I need The Fog on vinyl. I was sitting there like, this is definitely from the Goosebumps, or this is definitely from.
It does.
It's just like.
And that's a good thing about not to. I know it's his birthday and all, not to love John Carpenter so much, but when it comes to like soundtracks,
yes,
and like the music,
yes,
within scenes, there's no other horror director that does it, because you have Spielberg, but you have John Williams.
Yes, you always have like a great director attached to a great composer.
It's
both. Not often you have both in one. And Jordan Peele talks about it a lot when in this Conan interview, or a little bit in this Conan interview we watched that Jake sent to me that you guys can find on YouTube. It's just Conan O'Brien with Jordan Peele, horror movie something or another.
Yeah,
I can't exactly remember the title of the episode.
But
yeah, Conan O'Brien, Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
he talks about the importance of music and scenes. And, obviously like Jaws and Halloween.
Yeah, when you say if they were sitting there just talking.
Yeah, and he would, oh my God. Around, and if the music changed, and he was like making tones, like Jordan Peele was making notes. Yeah. And I was like, these fucking guys get it.
Yeah,
obviously, Conan O'Brien is like.
It was in my head like, damn, that would make it more intense.
Conan O'Brien's more of like the comedic relief in that situation and like an outside perspective on horror, which was super cool. Because sometimes you need that. And that's what we ask our fans to do. That's why we like being the bridge in between. If you are like obsessed with horror, you're just getting into horror. That's something that we hope to bridge for you guys as this completely conversation-based podcast. There are so many clips of the greats talking about stuff with people that are kind of, just dipping their toes in horror, know like a couple of the greats. And now Conan O'Brien mentioned a couple movies I haven't even seen, but it was like the respect that Jordan Peele had for Conan and Conan has for Jordan Peele. But then that scene, when they're talking about the music and he's doing it and explaining a camera shot, spinning around the room and like closing in on certain people with like dun 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 dun, and you're like, that would fucking change the dynamic of this conversation
100%.
completely. And for all the Friday the 13th haters out there, and I know there's some of you out there because I just listened to an episode on one, but you're wrong. Friday the 13th was an amazing piece of cinema, and it's one of the greatest examples of what you can do with a low budget and with music. And Halloween's a great a great version of that as well. But in all honesty, if you took the music completely out of Friday the 13th, it's corny as fuck. But because they were able to do what they did, Sean S. Cunningham obviously learned some things from John Carpenter and made it better in some capacities. Brutal, a longer living, a longer, more successful franchise, in my opinion. So for those reasons, anybody that hates the original Friday the 13th, you need to watch it for what it was and not what it is now, and you're wrong. So you can't be mad about Jason Voorhees not being in it because Jason Voorhees didn't exist. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, on a scale from 1 to 10, Mr. Jake, what do you rate The Fog from 1980?
On a scale from 1 to 10, The Fog for me is at 8.3.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
8.3.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
On a scale from 1 to 10. Since yesterday, when I watched it, through this episode.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of shocked that we didn't agree on this one. But I'm coming in at an 8.5.
Wow.
8.5.
Very nice.
Yeah. I was taken completely away from this movie, and it knocked my socks off. Obviously, we almost got an hour of content out of a movie from the 1980s, which is the first time in this podcast history where a movie of this long ago and not comedic at all was able to bring out genuine conversation between two horror fans of different calibers, different movie styles, Friday the 13th, Halloween here. And we're able to come in the middle, meet, and just agree on so many different facets of John Carpenter's amazing abilities to direct, to do music, and the fact that, characters, everything. I'm so happy that we talked about this movie. This episode went so much better than I even anticipated it
good.
going.
I'm glad it did.
How do you feel? Do you feel like it went par with what you thought, or...
We went above and beyond on it.
Yeah. This is probably...
We get almost an hour out
This
of it.
is probably outside of... We didn't bullshit talk at all. This is probably the longest, most horror-specific, genuine conversation we have ever had together.
Yeah, this is a straight hour of just
just a movie.
Yeah.
We didn't sidetrack at all. So if you guys get to this point...
Guys, you're welcome.
Do not forget that this is what we're all about. This is what we want to do every week.
Yeah.
We want to talk about movies that maybe both of us haven't seen, or maybe you will stand up on top of a mountain and yell for everyone to hear about. So please don't forget, if you at all want to be a part of the J Squared Horror Podcast, you can be live and in person in the podcast room. You can request episode ideas. Like we said, we have 5 on the board right now. If you go to www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com, everything is updated. Everything is ready for you to click on. If you want to be a part of the episode, please go to the website and check it out. If you want trivia at any of your business locations, you can go to the website. You can check it out. Next week, we are doing another fan-requested episode. Jake, let the fans know what we're going to be covering next.
We are covering 2023's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. The first time the J Squared Horror Podcast has ever talked about a video game specific horror movie. Braden emailed us and wanted us to cover this movie. It is my nephew's favorite horror film of all time. Now, mind you,
Really?
we have gotten him to watch such greats as Halloween 1978. He has watched 4 films out of the Conjuring franchise. He has watched the Annabelle Creation. He has watched The Nun. He has watched The Nun 2. He
That's
has
the
watched
favorite one?
La Llorona. He is absolutely in love and obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy. I cannot wait to dive into that movie as 2 30-plus-year-old dudes that don't know shit about that video game right now. I will go to him, ask him some talking points. I will write them down for him. I am not going to bring my 13-year-old nephew on the podcast. He is not wanting to be in front of the camera, and that is an understandable thing. So if you guys are at all excited, please comment down below different reasons why you've enjoyed The Fog or Five Nights at Freddy's. And if you want to be a part of the podcast, you can comment down below or on our website that I had already mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, big shout out to all of our main supporters. Jeff Balance, who does our design work. Anything you see us wearing, the intro and the outro posters that we post online, the sign that you see between us on YouTube, if you go to any of our social media platforms, our logos are all done by Jeff Balance. Lucky Riggs, who does our intro and our outro music. Obviously, you guys hear it every week. If you listen to us, the intro is amazing. The outro is amazing. We appreciate you so much, Mr. Lucky Riggs. A humongous shout out to the world's greatest co-host a guy could ask for, Mr. Jake. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being the greatest co-host a guy could ask for. Is there anything at all that you'd like to let the fans know before we sign off tonight?
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
For going into our 3rd year now. You guys
We're in there.
Coming out. You keep listening. You keep streaming. You keep liking, leaving comments. Thank you. Keep it going so we can keep growing.
Keep it going because we want to grow, baby. Yeah, we appreciate you fans so much. We would not be sitting here in these chairs every single week if it wasn't for every single one of you fans out there. Now, this is the J Squared Horror Podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jake.
You guys have a great week. And always remember, it's hip to be squared.